Good evening, Lansing School District parents and community stakeholders. Thank you very much for joining our Parent University session. My name is Kyron Harvell. I'm director of the STAR grant. STAR stands for School Transformation Accelerates Results. We're very fortunate this evening to have our technology director, Mr. Jeff Vanderlaan, who will provide a presentation on cyberbullying and technology safety. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter them in the Q&A or you can enter them to the chat session. Mr. Vanderlaan will take questions during the last 15 minutes of his presentation. Again, thank you guys for being here, and I will turn it over to Mr.
Vanderlaan. Good evening, everyone. We're glad that you're here with us tonight. I'm going to share my screen here. And go full screen. There. Kyron, is my screen visible?
Yes, we're all set.
Okay, great. All right. So again, thank you for being here. Internet safety is always an important topic to discuss, but with technology and remote learning becoming so necessary during the pandemic, I would say it takes on even a little bit more importance as we look at devices in the home, or maybe there weren't before. Internet access being provided might be a new thing for everyone. So it's good that we're taking this time, and I appreciate Mr. Harvell inviting me to share some thoughts on this with everyone. So I want to start by saying that most of this presentation will focus on what to watch for as far as internet safety and cyberbullying, and ways to communicate with your kids about internet safety and cyberbullying. While there are certainly technology tools that can help us keep our kids safe, there's almost too many options, and no one family has the same devices or the same internet service providers, or honestly even the same values on what they want their kids to have access to be very, to get too specific as we talk through this, and that's okay. But I think there are some things that we can be applied to any family, no matter their tech, or no matter their family customs or culture. So we've got this brave new media social network landscape, and it's not easy for anyone to navigate sometimes. And as a parent helping our kids navigate, it can be even more of a struggle. Kids use a lot of media. Statistics show that children under 8 spend almost 2 hours a day with screen media. That could be TV, that could be video games, computers, mobile devices. Our tweens and teens are about 6 hours, and that number is pre-remote learning. So those statistics came prior to the pandemic. So 6 hours a day, they're on a device. And I know parents can feel maybe guilty with that. They can be anxious, worrying about their kids' well-being, and that's quite understandable. So tonight, we're going to talk about some of that, and we're going to talk about how the internet can be good and how there's some positive opportunities. But we're also going to talk about, some of the different things. So I just wanted to start with a question. If you want to put something in the chat, what are your biggest concerns about digital media or social media? And then also, what do you think some of digital media's or social media's strengths are? And if you throw those in, maybe we can kind of address those towards the end, but just an opportunity for you to share. I'll leave those up for just a second. So, one question we want to answer is, how do we use media in balance as a family? How do we find quality content? How do we set expectations around healthy use to prevent conflict? And how do we raise media savvy consumers and creators? There is good news. If you're worried about doing it right, you're probably not doing it wrong. And we know, hopefully tonight we'll give you some tips and tools that will either help you get there or reassure you, that you are working with your kids and keeping them safe. And we'll talk about the media landscape. We'll offer tips and tools. But again, I want to say there's no magic solution. There's no magic potion. tech and media move too fast for simple solutions. But again, we'll give practical tips, some overall information and framework that we think, or I think, is even more important. And again, it's all about balance, right? So if you want to know, how's my child doing? How am I doing? You can kind of ask yourself these questions, and these come from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Is my child physically healthy, and are they sleeping enough? We know that that's important for growth in general. Is my child connecting socially with family and friends, not by themselves? And that could even be electronically, but are they connecting with family? Are they engaged and achieving in school? Are they pursuing other interests and hobbies, again, in any form? Are they having fun and learning to use the internet and digital media? If those questions, if you answered a yes, your child's probably doing okay, and maybe not struggling right now with media usage, with internet usage, but there are some guiding principles also that you can kind of go through to take some of the worry and headache out of parenting around tech use. One thing is you can use or watch things together, right? It's a good bonding and learning time. You can talk about the content. You can talk about commercials if it's TV. It also makes a real life connection in the middle of using the internet. Know your own rules. Be consistent. Have follow through. Make sure everyone in the house is on the same page. Start young, set expectations, and rehearse with the younger kids. Have a routine. Be clear. Make it a game. Practice. Transition away at different times. Negotiate with older kids on time limits. Encourage creation as well as consumption, right? I mean, media devices aren't bad things, but encourage them to create instead of just sitting in front of the screen and staring at it. There's lots of apps and sites that foster creativity. There's basic coding and logic. And start having conversations about what it means to be a digital citizen. And then also, be a good role model. Model it yourself. So they're using it. So as a parent, what do you hope to get, that your kids get out of digital media? And again, if you want to just shoot your answer in the chat, just type in an A, B, C, or D. Some people may just want the kids to have fun. Others may want to focus on learning. Obviously, there is a connection aspect to digital media, social media. And then, maybe you just don't want to mess it up or have the internet, mess them up. So how do we do this? How do we set the stage for success? And the reality is there's a lot of great stuff out there that your kids can use and get a lot out of, right? It's not all an all bad kind of situation. Make choices, really be choosy. Know what your kids are using, know what they're ready for, right? From a development standpoint, from an appropriate standpoint. Not everyone's ready for scary stuff. Not everyone's ready for adult situations, violence. Focus on things that they're interested in, right? Steer them towards their interests, the things that they're excited about, or maybe just trying to grow a little bit. Talk to them about privacy or put them in applications or websites that respect privacy, that respect safety. Are they using something that has chat involved? Is it collecting your kids' information? Just be aware. What do the experts say? Talk to your teacher. They may have will have some great suggestions on age-appropriate material. And is there an educational value to it? Is there a learning potential? And if you're wondering what that means in terms of learning, co-viewing with kids to help them, the younger kids, to help them learn letters and numbers, parent interaction during an ebook, helping them understand the story, Favorite characters can help boost learning and empathy if you keep going back to them. And if you're wondering too, again, how to maximize the learning potential, were educators involved in creating it? Does the app provide feedback, when they're using it? Does it adjust to the kid's level? Look for things that, or avoid things actually that only an experience a screen can deliver. Sometimes a piece of paper blocks toys work just as well as a screen. If that's the case, then the app or site's probably not worth it. And you can always stick with the winners. PBS has some great educationally valuable shows like Sesame Street and some different things which have research behind them that talk about learning potential and appropriateness. Right, and it's a lot easier to sort of monitor and maintain this with our younger kids, right? But kids grow up, they want to make their own choices. Around age 8, kids want more independence. They develop their own relationship to tech and media. They start wanting to play games like Minecraft and Roblox and Animal Jam, and these things have some socialization to them, and that brings up more risks. I know there have been some stories on some different things attached to Minecraft and Roblox, and those things do happen, but they're very rare. More often than not, you're going to see kids taking advantage of other kids more than you'll see adults coming in and interacting. And often as they get a little older, there's no clear stopping points, and these games sort of suck you in and make it easy to play, for hours at a time. And as they hit the teen years, we ask ourselves, why do they want to be on these devices all the time? And so if you think about what was important to you as a tween or teenager, again, you could throw an answer in the chat if you wanted to. Friends, family, fitting in, self-expression, all the above. These are things that our kids deal with. These are things that we dealt with just without the internet. And our parents struggled to protect us and take care of us, as well. So kids aren't that different, right? They want to be independent. They want to try out different identities. They want acceptance, just like we did, only they have different avenues. So this is a quote from a focus group that Common Sense Media did in 2014. It says, "Adults don't get it. They think I'm addicted to technology, but I'm not. I'm addicted to my friends." And a researcher, Dana Boyd, says tech has become the primary place where young people can hang out with their peers. Kids want to be on these sites because that's where their friends are. That's the whole thing. Right, so just like when we wanted to go to the mall, or I wanted to go to the mall to see my friends, or wherever that was for you, our kids are just jumping online to be with their friends. So it's the same sort of goal or feeling. It's just different context, and the rules have changed. So I want to encourage you to help your kids through this time, just like when you would help them learn to ride a bike. You take them somewhere safe, start by holding the back of the seat, helping them find their balance. It's the same thing as you let your kids online. Find a way to help them find that balance and safety, and have conversations before things start. So I know there's a lot of conversation. There certainly was in my house as my kids got older, do I get them a phone? What's a good age? What's a good time for that to happen? The average age for kids getting smartphones in the United States is about 10, and about 75% of kids 12 to 17 have a smartphone. There's no right or wrong time, but something to pay attention to is, are your kids showing a sense of responsibility? Do you need to be in touch for safety reasons? There are social benefits to that connection. How do they use it? How do they follow your rules? And it's important to start thinking about this before the questions start coming. Um, how are kids using devices? So there's sort of a distinction between boys and girls, maybe not a surprise. As we said earlier, tweens use about an average of 6 hours of internet time. And there is a gender gap. Girls tend to dominate social media. You can see they spend, girls spend more time on social media. Boys spend more time on video games. Again, that's not an exclusive thing, but in general, both are on YouTube and music videos, regularly. So, question for you: myth or truth? Social media alienates kids. Is that a myth or is that true? Researchers find that that's a myth, generally speaking. Social media can actually strengthen relationships. 57% of all teens have made new friends online. It can be used to do good, right? They can reach out to volunteer, they can be inclusive, they can create community. And most kids are just using devices to have fun. 84% of boys who play network games with friends feel more connected when they play online. And 68% of teen social media users have had online friends support them through tough or challenging times. So there is some positivity to it. Of course, face-to-face social skills are still incredibly important. So what and how do they use it? 71% of teens use more than one platform. So it's not just Facebook, it's not just Instagram, and many aren't really interacting. They're just reading and watching what other people do. But live streaming and video chatting, are on the rise. So what do you need to watch out for? Again, apps aren't necessarily the thing to focus on. It's not that they're using Facebook. It's not that they're using Snapchat. It's not that they're using TikTok. It's important to know about those things, but knowing what they do is even more important. Again, is it age-appropriate content? It's very easily to find inappropriate things for kids. How prevalent is it? If it's an app with a feed, get a sense of what people are posting and try searching for different types of content. Does it have public default settings? When you share, is it going out to the world? Does the app or site have location tracking and sharing? What kind of information? Some apps share, some don't. Some you can turn it off, some you can't. Is live streaming a feature? Why? How do people use it? What are the rules around sharing, your rules around sharing personal info and with anonymous viewers? A lot of things people don't think about are ads and in-app purchases. A lot of those games, many times you pay for them, but then your credit card or financial information stays in the game. And instead of working through the levels and solving them, sometimes you can buy cheats and codes, and suddenly you get your credit card statement, and it's a lot more that month than you had anticipated. Things like Snapchat has temporary pictures, but what happens to those pictures? Where do they go? And then kind of what's the feel of the app? Is it positive? Is it negative? There are apps that have fun, and then there are other apps where people are cruel, or it's a rating app, things like that. Be aware of what they do more than what they are. So, and there are settings on your device in apps, right, that can block strangers, can stop you from friending or commenting, but they can't prevent all negative behavior. The Center for Disease Control estimates that cyberbullying affects about 15.5% of high school students. By comparison, only about 20% of high schoolers experience in-person bullying at school. Just like real life, some kids are easier targets online. And like, as I just mentioned, some apps lend themselves to being mean. They allow you to be anonymous. They allow you to rate and describe in not positive ways. So let's take a look at cyberbullying. I'm sure everyone's heard that term, but a definition that I like is ongoing targeted harassment via digital communication tools that's meant to make the victim feel bad. Right? Ongoing harassment meant to bring someone down, or build the bully up. It's just like bullying in person, right? Except with digital tools. It takes a lot of forms. And then there are also some things that happen online that technically aren't bullying, but can still cause some distress. AT&T has done a video called "There's a Soul Behind That Screen" that features some teens talking about their own experience, right? Because that's the thing I think people sometimes forget. You're posting it online, you're in front of your phone, you don't really see the impact that it might be having. But there is someone on the other side that's reading that. So let's just listen to this clip.
Social medias that I have are
Snapchat,
Twitter,
Instagram.
I'll edit a couple times. I ask my parents or my friends before I post something, and then the next step is like caption-wise. Gotta get those likes, you know. Social media can be a powerful tool for a lot of people. I also believe that it could be a negative thing.
Something we deal with every day, and I don't think everybody realizes necessarily how much cyberbullying actually goes on.
And I think not a lot of people really realize like how prevalent of an issue it is and how serious it is. Some people, don't even consider cyberbullying real bullying.
The feeling of being bullied on social media is extremely heart-wrenching and extremely embarrassing.
I fear that people are gonna talk bad about me, and I'm really scared.
And again, this next few minutes, we're going to talk specifically about cyberbullying, but there is other drama that can take, digital drama can take lots of forms, right? It's more than just saying mean things. In fact, some of the stress a teen can feel about online interaction isn't bullying, but actually other kids, peer pressure or just anxiety. That last young lady talking about, she's worried about what people are even, whether or not people are even saying anything. So there's a lot of different things going on. But again, we want to talk more about online cruelty for these next few minutes and what that can take. You may have heard the term flaming. That's something where there's, a heated online argument with insults being thrown back and forth. Typically it's instigated by the bully on the regular basis, and then, the victim retaliates, and then it's just back and forth. Threats. Being sort of anonymous behind a screen makes it easier to threaten violence or other harm. And then trolling, right, which is a constant stream of negative comments. These are all things that kids are dealing with at one time or another. And then there's some subtle and sneakier forms, which are meant to be mean, and some are driven by, other motivations. You might have heard the term, revenge porn. That's when if a teen has shared any suggestive pictures, and an ex will try to get back to them by posting it online, so that's shared across a wide spectrum. Subtweeting, right? That's tweeting on Twitter when someone does something without acknowledging them or tagging them, so that they don't even know that something's being said about them. Outing someone, you share a secret with someone, and then you get in a fight, and he or she then shares that secret with everyone. Excluding. Sometimes it's unintentional, but sometimes it's on purpose, where kids post pictures of an event that knowing that a third friend, fourth friend wasn't there. They do it intentionally to make them feel bad. Pressuring, impersonating, hacking, spying, logging into someone else's account, pretending to be them. And then just like when all of us have experienced in person, right? Rumors. Now with online chat and social media, it spreads so much quicker than it does in the hallways. There's been a lot of research around cyberbullying, but statistics kind of vary. I think one thing that's kind of encouraging is it doesn't happen to everyone. In-person bullying is still more common, but despite the low prevalence of it happening, when it happens, it has a high impact. One embarrassing picture sent to lots of people can have real negative and long-lasting consequences on our kids' lives. In 2018, the research company Pew had a stat saying 59% of teens say they've experienced cyberbullying. Another research report says 13% had been cyberbullied, with 29% saying it happened once or twice, 53% a few times, and 16% many times. And even while the spectrum of bullying is wide ranging, the consequences of cyberbullying range as well, right? For some kids, they're able to shake it off and bounce back. For others, it's hard and impactful, but eventually becomes a bad memory. And then for some, it's really, really devastating to them, socially, emotionally, and sometimes they struggle to recover. You talk about why kids bully. It's the same reasons kids have always bullied. It's the same reason adults still bully, right? They're trying to gain attention, maybe a social standing. They try to feel powerful, maybe because they're angry. Maybe it started out in fun and teasing, and then it got serious, and no one's able to back off. And because they were bullied, right? Sometimes a bully was bullied. But how is online bullying different? Well, they think the sort of I can't talk tonight. There's no inhibition, right? There's no sense of personal contact. There's no empathy, right? When you're doing this online, you're feeling anonymous, disconnected. So you think you can behave in any way you want, and maybe even in a way that you wouldn't necessarily do face to face. It's not limited to the hallway or the bus stop. It's 24/7. Kids have access, potential access to other kids, and the reach is wider. Instead of maybe a few kids in a classroom, now 50 people quickly see an embarrassing screenshot or a rumor, and it's instant. And so also the way we communicate online, memes, jokes, comments, try to get those likes and thumbs up, and that can become somewhat addictive. So it just ratchets it up more and more. Here's another clip from the video. Right, and those aren't exclusive. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services from 2015 showed that white and Hispanic girls were most often targets of cyberbullying, but it's not limited to that, right? Our LGBTQ community deals with cyberbullying, kids with disabilities or learning differences. I think the last thing in that video is talk about kids who are born in another country and come here and struggle. And then, as always, right, our appearance, our clothing, just our sometimes general awkwardness are all things that our teens are reporting that they're made fun of about. So how do we know? How do you know if it's happening to your kids? First, we kind of need to have a baseline for what's normal and what's not normal in your child's life, right? There's a lot of variation, and you know your kid best. So these are some things, time to watch, sort of pay attention to. When our kids kind of, start maturing and hit puberty, Are they starting to worry about their social status? Are they talking about popularity and pecking order? As you see, are they growing in independence and doing a normal sort of distancing, from the family? But are they being secretive about it or rebellious? Do they suddenly start worrying about their appearance and what other kids think? Are you seeing strong and swinging emotions? Um, Identity, starting to, explore and figure out who they are. Um, and, these are all things that we want to watch for and be aware of, um, so that you can start to ask questions. Um, Sometimes cyberbullying can overlap with what's normal behavior, right? We talked about that sort of separation and independence. It's normal for kids to not want to hang out with the family as much, but are they withdrawing and becoming more secretive? Are they more emotional and volatile? Is their behavior and identity, is it shifting in ways that you don't recognize? And it can be hard to guess what's happening with your kids if they won't talk to you. And teenagers sometimes struggle talking to their kids. So some other things to watch for: are they glued to their device in a more obsessive way than normal? Are they on it? Do they stay upset or anxious after they've been on it for a while? And that doesn't always necessarily mean it's cyberbullying. It's a good time to start, asking questions. And then when it's time to start seeking help outside, and these are things that are outside of typical development, and you probably want to find some help with that. Are they self-harming? Are you seeing them? Are they cutting? Or are they talking or writing or referencing suicide, total withdrawal? Do they quit all activities? Do they not see their friends? Do they stop sharing? Do they stay, isolated? These are times that you want to seek out some help and try to get your kids the help they need. Right. So what do we do? Even if it's not happening right now to your child, it could be happening, just around the corner. But but you can start working on preventing it right now. Kids start bullying behavior young. So when you see it, talk to them about it. Encourage empathy, right? That idea of feeling bad or sharing in the sorrow of someone else. As your kid gets online more and more, talk to them about strategies and scenarios of what cyberbullying looks like, the information and content they should keep to themselves. How do you block someone? How do you take screenshots? And when is it time, help them understand when it's time for them to get adult help. Stay involved. It can be tempting to kind of, stand back and let them kind of to deal with it because that's what they want and that's what they articulate. But spot checks, check-ins, keeping that open communication open is important. Set limits. Have a plan around device-free times and rules around your house, and that you all stay on the same page. And then model it yourself. Start asking your kid if it's okay to post pictures of them, so that you're showing some respect, but also modeling that they may do the same with friends. Be kind yourself. If you're on social media, maybe your kids follow you, maybe you don't. But again, model it. And sometimes cyberbullying may be tied to behavior that as a parent you may not be particularly happy about. Breaking the rules, underage drinking, and no matter the circumstances, you want your kids to be able to feel safe, talking to you about that. Because it can confound things, right? Of they're being bullied because of a poor decision, but then they're afraid to tell you about the bullying because they're more concerned about the poor decision. So just be open, be able to listen, Try not to judge or jump to conclusions or jump into action. If your kid's safety is in question, if the bullying is pervasive and overwhelming, then you need to step in and help your kid out. Their overall well-being, is in jeopardy. Make sure your child is blocking and reporting things, even if it feels futile. Just block and report, and encourage them not to retaliate. Don't escalate the situation. Gather evidence, take screenshots, get names, save text threads. Involve the necessary parties to try to stop it. Our schools can help with different things. Kyron can probably speak more specifically to resources that they might have in the Office of School Culture. But I know that our Ms. Black, the executive director of the Office of Student Culture, is very passionate about making sure our students are safe and their well-being. So certainly your schools and your teachers want to help, bring it into that. And then, sometimes it is possible or necessary to bring in authorities, depending on the situation. This was a new term that I found while kind of researching this. It's called upstanding. I guess it's just another way of standing up, right? But that's one of the most powerful tools we found, or they found, that will combat cyberbullying, is when kids stand up, either themselves or for each other. That sort of rallying around each other has a huge impact on bullies, and because they don't get that power, they don't get that accolade. It is often necessary for adults to step in, but if our kids can handle it, a lot of times that has the biggest impact. When there's no social reward, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times it'll stop. So one thing you can do is you can encourage our kids to stand up for each other, to have each other's backs. What's one way to combat it? Another way is creating a positive community. And I know that's what we do here in the or we try to set a positive community here in the Lansing School District. Again, you can fight tech with tech. There are apps out there that will allow kids to sort of find that group that will help them stand up. Talk to other parents about what their kids are doing, or before things start. What are other parents doing around rules and access and different things, and then know that kids are going to make mistakes, and we can support them as a community. So again, the best solution to cyberbullying is teaching kids how to be good digital citizens. There's roughly, there's 8 sort of facets to digital citizenship: safety, privacy, relationships, communication, cyberbullying and digital drama, digital footprints. What are you posting? That stuff doesn't really, even when you delete it, that stuff doesn't really ever go away. Self-image and identity, information literacy, and creative credit and copyright. These are all things that are part of a digital citizenship curriculum that our state has out there. And another way is just continue to teach your kids to be good human beings, right? Whether with their brothers, sisters, relatives, friends. Help them understand that needs to carry on when they're behind a keyboard. And again, just education can help. We mentioned too, beyond just bullying, there's other sort of things that can happen: sexting, self-harm, online predators. These are all things, again, that happen, but understand they're not the norm. We don't have a lot of hard statistics around it, but what researchers found is that 20 to 54% of our teens have sent or posted inappropriate pictures of themselves, mostly sent to boyfriend or girlfriend. 36% of girls and 39% of boys say inappropriate photos are commonly shared with people other than the intended receiver. And 51% of our girls say that they felt pressure from a guy to send these pictures. Teens often struggle, trying to figure out who they are and what their boundaries are. And again, make sure you're talking to your kids about, what's appropriate, reminding them that whatever they send isn't theirs to control anymore. Again, it's not all bad, right? But you want to make sure that you're using the media. Don't let it use you. Our kids are feeling overwhelmed, even more so. These numbers are a bit old. They certainly don't take into play the pandemic. But 50% of our teens do feel addicted to technology. Half our teens multitask with doing homework, and most believe it doesn't hurt the quality of their homework. Most of the time, it hurts the quality of their homework. 59% of parents feel that their teens are addicted. And 80% of parents and teens feel technology makes no difference or helps their relationships. So again, it's not all bad. There are good uses. But again, talk to your kids about how they're using it, when they're using it. Encourage them to find other ways to go outside, to read a book, to just not be so dependent upon technology. The other thing is, other than being the boss, what role do parents play? They're role models. Parents have to model how they want devices used and stick to that themselves. Myth or truth, parents spend less time on devices than kids or teens. Give you a second to think about that. That's a myth. Parents spend about 9.5 hours, including personal work use. About almost 8 of that is devoted to personal screen time. While our kids are only spending average, our tweens, it's that 10 to 12 age group, spend 6 hours a day, and our teens spend over 9 hours a day on screens. So it's not just the kids, right? We're guilty of it ourselves, sometimes. And our kids are experts when it comes to sniffing out hypocrisy, right? Of saying one thing and doing another. And a lot of times they'll let you know it. So modeling the behavior that you want should be your first priority. If you're setting good standards, it's a lot easier to monitor what they're doing, forcing the device-free times, limits, not lectures, communicate, don't corner. We want our kids to make positive choices on their own because we're not always going to be there to help them. So modeling it is a good way to go. And know that you're doing the best that you can, and that we're all in this together, right? We all have the same challenges, and there's no easy fix, right? It's when you're a parent, it's a long haul challenge, and our kids change and the tech changes, and as we kind of started, right? There's no one right answer on how to solve this, and at the end of the day, it all kind of boils down to just continuing to do what you do. And but know that the Office of School Culture, the Department of Technology, will continue to help and support parents. We can be a resource of ideas and some different things. And again, there's no one right way. But if you need to talk to someone, I know I don't think I'm putting words in his mouth, but I think Mr. Harvell would say that we want to help parents navigate this sort of new world that we're in.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderlaan. We really appreciate this phenomenal presentation on cyberbullying and technology safety. Thank you, parents and community members, for joining us for this edition of Penn University. This session has been recorded and will be available at the Lansing School District website, www.lansingschools.net. You will click Parents and click Parent Resources for Parent University. Thank you guys again. Mr. Vanderline, any parting words for our participants?
No, I mean, just reiterate, right? I mean, it's not going to be easy, but you know, as parents and as educators, you know, we just need to be aware of what our kids are doing and help them, you know, navigate through this process as they grow up. It's a different time. I know it's a different time than when I grew up. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to put an age on you, Mr. Harvell, but I'm sure it's a different time. I'm sure it's a different time when you grew up, right? So,
Yep.
Parents, you just need to keep on working with your kids, right? Don't stop being a mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or whatever role you have in kids' lives just because this is different and new. One of the things I really truly feel, right, is that kids growing up they're the same, right? They have the same desires and different things that I had. They got in trouble. Kids get in trouble. They make bad choices. It's just now there's this technology piece that kind of broadcasts it everywhere. But I don't think we need to treat it necessarily differently than our parents, you know, treated the telephone. You know, when I spent too much time on the telephone, I got in trouble. If you spend too much time on the internet, you know, just parent, right? Just be a good parent, and regardless of whether it's technology or not, it's just a different medium and it's scary, and I do understand that. But at the end of the day, we just love and protect your kids as best you can.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Vanderline. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time at Parent University. Have a good evening.